Hello, everyone. I wanted to take this opportunity to check in with you as the end of winter term is just about here. It's been quite a term, and I've heard from some of you that it's felt like you're barely crawling to the finish line. But I want to commend you for continuing to crawl and to do your best to make it to the end of this term. I find winter term in the best of times to be hard, and I've often thought it's kind of the cumulative fatigue from working hard in fall term and in winter term. And then in Canada, you have to factor in the dark, cold days of winter, which I think impacts a lot of us and just makes winter term hard. But this year, oh my, this year has just been so different. We've been living with this pandemic for more than a year, going into lockdown, coming out of lockdown, felt confused about what's the best thing to do, what's the right thing to do. All of us are trying to make the best choices we can to sustain our health, to protect ourselves and our loved ones and our friends around us. So there's been just a whole added layer of pressure and stresses this whole academic year, and I think it's really come to fruition in this winter term where we felt it most significantly. So I want to commend you for hanging in there, for doing the best you can, because it's been tough and you've made it now to the end of winter term. So I'd like you to take a moment and just notice what you've accomplished. Maybe this term hasn't turned out the way that you had hoped for. Maybe you haven't been able to put yourself to your assignments or your readings or participating in class in the way that you normally have or the way that you expect yourself to be able to do this work. And yet, in spite of all of this, what have you learned? And what have you accomplished? What have you discovered about yourself living through this experiencing that maybe you knew before, but now you know more clearly? Or maybe you've discovered some different things about yourself because you've needed to address all of these things this term. I know for myself, it can be so easy to focus on what didn't work out, or if I get one negative comment or maybe one negative piece of feedback, then it's like all my attention goes there and everything else that was going okay or maybe even good gets overtaken by all of that. Does that happen to you too? If it does, I'd really like you to push back on those negative thoughts. Put them in perspective. Sure, maybe you weren't able to accomplish everything you had hoped to in your courses this term. Sure, maybe you would have liked to have gotten better grades, or sure, you would have liked to have accomplished more or learned more. You did the best you could. Give yourself credit for that because it's really something in this term. And take away from this term what you've learned. How have you understood as yourself as a learner in this context? And how can you take that with you into what comes next for you? Because there's learning in this for all. So hold the challenges and the learning together and take those with you. Because it's been quite a term, and the fact that you've made it to the end is really something. Give yourself credit, and thank you for all that you've offered in your courses, in your support for your peers, and the learning that you've engaged with at Luther. I'm grateful. For those of you who will be graduating this spring, congratulations on the completion of your degree. That's a real accomplishment, and I hope you'll have time to celebrate, probably in some modified format, with friends and family. Certainly there will be news coming out shortly about convocation at Laurier, and we will be following up with convocation plans at Luther as well. They will be in a remote format, but we want to take this moment to mark your accomplishments and celebrate with you and family and friends this important milestone in your life. So pay attention to your email because information will be coming soon. For those of you who are carrying on into spring term, I hope with the delay of the start of spring term, you'll be able to take a little bit of time to rest, relax, and renew yourself a little bit. Maybe the weather will even cooperate and you can spend some time outside. It's good and it's important to take these moments to refresh ourselves so that we're ready to continue in our learning. Again, in spring term, our learning will be in the remote format, and I hope it still can be a rich learning context for you. Let me say a little bit about fall term. I expect you've been seeing some notices coming out from Laurier with regard to fall term. We will be following many of the same protocols that Laurier is communicating about how learning will happen there. Given that all of our classes are smaller, though, we anticipate that many of our courses will be able to return to the building to have courses in a face-to-face format. Of course, this will continue to depend on the directives from public health. However, it is my hope that with the number of people being vaccinated and with our case count beginning to plateau and go down slightly, that by September, we'll be able to return to the classroom. To be able to support in-classroom learning, we are currently upgrading the technology in our 3 second-floor classrooms to be able to facilitate a high-flex learning environment. What this means is that a professor in the classroom will be able to teach both students who are there physically present and also who are in a remote learning environment. Because as you've read at Laurier, you as a student will have a choice to decide whether or not you would like to come back to class at Luther or continue to learn in a remote learning environment. And there will be more information about that upcoming. In winter term, we hope that we will be mostly back to an in-class environment in the building. Faculty too have a choice whether or not they want to return to teach at Luther or in a remote format. So if they don't feel comfortable yet returning into the building, the courses they teach will be remote. And again, stay tuned to your email, to the information about fall registrations and the ongoing changes that will occur, and we will be communicating in which format those courses will be happening. And you will be asked as well to declare what your preference will be, to come back in the building or to stay in a remote format for fall term. And either is fine. So please feel free to do what you feel is best for you and for your family so that you can remain comfortable and feel supported in your learning. So in the midst of our ongoing pandemic restrictions, I hope that you can find some space for yourself in spring and summer term to enjoy the outdoors, to do some things that renew you, to connect with others in whatever format is possible, so that again, you keep yourself well and you keep yourself ready to learn and grow as you continue in your learning at Luther. Thanks so much for all that you've offered this winter term, and congratulations to our graduates. Bye for now.